So good morning everyone. Not the normal location that I would be out shooting at sunrise. I have walked down our road a little bit, so it's kind of like 2 fields down from where we live, and decided to shoot a little bit of abstract photography because I'm just itching, as I'm sure most of you are, I'm just itching to get back out shooting again. I think I got the idea from this from my mate Tyler, who had been out shooting a few fields local to him, and he had sent me a couple of abstract shots that he took, and it kind of got me thinking of, you know, obviously we're still in this position where we can't really travel very far, and I kind of started to look around what I have on my doorstep, and some of you have maybe seen the video I did with the little waterfall, and I thought, well, there's bound to be more than that around my local area here. So I took a walk out a couple of nights ago. Just we've been kind of walking the roads and going across the fields and stuff, just to get a bit of exercise, and came across some interesting, shall we say, dirt tracks, and what I kind of found quite interesting about these ones was that they've got this lovely hardened, crispy texture to them, which I do believe is some sort of manure, which is kind of dried up and hardened. So never did I think I'd be shooting this, but kind of the point of today's video is just to share a few little tips of how I would normally shoot these little abstracts. And with this kind of photography, it's you're almost looking for a landscape within a landscape. So we're going to take a little bit of a closer look, but obviously still think about our composition and our techniques and that sort of thing. So let's see how we get on. So I've hit a massive problem here, and that is the sunlight. The last couple of times I came down here to have a look, it was a little bit duller, and one of the evenings the sun was actually way back that way, so it wasn't actually hitting this section of ground. I thought, do you know, I'm going to come down in the first thing in the morning because the sun's just coming from over there and it'll be nice and low, and it'll hopefully create some really nice shadows in all the texture here. But I actually think it's completely ruined the shot, and certainly the shots that I had in mind, because I took a few just on my iPhone, and I really loved the patterns. I loved all the shapes and patterns and the textures, but they were shot just handheld, obviously, but just in flat light. So I think I am going to head back home. I am going to go home and get some breakfast, and I'll either come back this evening when the sun will be back that way, so this area should pretty much be completely in shade, or else I'm going to wait till tomorrow, because tomorrow's forecast is given it to be much cloudier. And yeah, I think this is going to need at least another attempt, which is quite frustrating. Well, what a difference a day makes. We've come back this morning. So I was here originally yesterday morning, and obviously completely blue skies, lots and lots of light hitting it here. This morning, whilst it was given it to be completely dull, there's a little bit of sun, as you can probably see, getting through, but it's very, very, very diffused, which is actually working out really well for this, because we're getting quite a nice glow on the ground, but nothing too crazy shadow wise, because one of the things I was concerned about is, because the sun's coming from here, even these tripod legs could be casting a shadow across. Now there's a little bit there, so I'm just going to wait and see if the sun just gets a little bit more muted. But it's amazing, yesterday morning I couldn't even see the compositions that I'd found the few visits before, and yet coming this morning just in this flatter light, I just see these compositions everywhere. So it's, I guess, a little tip for you, that if you come to a location and the conditions aren't right, just, if possible, just go home and come back another time, and don't try and force, and don't try and take shots maybe in conditions that aren't what you were wanting, or that just aren't going to look good, because you're probably going to just waste your time, and you're going to be a little bit more frustrated that the image that you've actually taken isn't that great, I guess. So perseverance, come back. So what I've actually done here, I've found this little bit here, which has got some really lovely patterns in it. I've just given it a little clean with this here, just to kind of remove any extra little bits of dust and dirt and stuff. So if you notice the setup here, I'm trying to keep this part of the lens as level and flat to my subject, so that whenever I'm shooting straight down on it, it means that most of it should be in the same focal plane. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm still going to take multiple shots and then end up doing a focus stack, so I'll show you how to do that in a moment. But if you can try, if you're shooting something like this, try and get this part of your lens, the front element, as level with your actual subject as you can, because it means then that what's in the center of the frame and what's in the, say, at the corners should all still be in focus, because you're not shooting down at an angle. So if I had this tilted more like that and shooting that way, then certain parts that were maybe in this bit are at a different focal plane than what's here and what's here. So doing this is it's just a simpler way of making sure that as much of your image is going to be sharp, even in one single shot. So I think this is probably the first composition in the bag, and I have these really class lines coming in. They're almost like snakes coming in, I guess, and what I've tried to do is still remember my kind of rule of the thirds and stuff for the composition. So I have one of them actually coming in on that lower third, just sweeping in, really kind of like in a diagonal shape, which is really nice. So what I've done for my focus stack, so the way I have my camera set up is the screen has the rule of thirds grid on it. So it's basically doing the screen up into 9 little rectangles. So what I've done is obviously put my focus point in the very center one, taking the shot, and I've actually gone around each of the 9 rectangles, just moved the focus point on to that rectangle, focused, put on the 2-second timer, and then taking a shot. So in theory I have 9 shots, all focused at slightly different parts of the scene. Now chances are I won't need these. I may even get away with one or a few of them, but I'm here, I might as well do it. At least then I know that I've covered all my bases. And then what I'll do is I'll just put my hand below like this, and then take a shot at the end, so that I know that the 9 images before the one with my hand in it are all for the one composite. And the really easy thing to do this then in Photoshop afterwards is, once I bring them into Lightroom first and edit one of the images, then I'll copy those settings over onto all 9, and then I'll open them into Photoshop and put them all into layers under one image. And it literally is so simple. It's a matter of selecting all the layers, hitting auto align, and then once it has aligned them all, then you hit auto blend, and it will pick the sharpest point from each layer and merge it all into one. So in theory, you should have a perfectly sharp image right across the whole scene from corner to corner. So it actually is that simple. So actually a guy you may follow, Mark Denney, did an amazing tutorial on this, which was how I first learned about it. So I'll drop a little link to his video in the description below, but it literally takes probably less than a minute once you get it into Photoshop to kind of align and blend and stack everything. So pretty cool. Okay, so I think I am gonna look for a few other compositions. There's definitely some really nice patterns along here. I may go over to some of the darker soil and look for something over there. I don't think it's going to be as good, but even if this is the only image that I come away with, I'll be pretty happy. So composition number 2 I have found, and I've actually got a little bit more colour in this one because there's quite a nice coppery kind of tinge against the white. So this is actually quite a nice contrast. The other one I had was pretty much all that kind of more whitey grey tones, which probably work quite well in black and white. This one here isn't just about the shape and the really cool textures on it. There's actually a really nice little bit of subtle colour. So actually quite, yeah, really like this one. Again, what I'm doing with the focus stack is I'm taking the 9 images. Again, I probably won't need them, but just to be sure. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use the same idea as before. It's using those cracks, those sweeps. They make really class looking patterns. And any of the more prominent ones, I'm trying to put them on the thirds where possible. My settings for this, ISO just down nice and low, ISO 100. I'm shooting at f11. This 16 to 35 lens is extremely sharp at f11, so I'm happy enough to shoot with that, and my shutter is only 1/25 of a second. Okay, hand shots and job done. Cool. Okay, I'm try and find one more composition with this dark mud or dark soil, and then I think it's breakfast time. So yeah, this shot has not materialised unfortunately, but I'm quite happy with the other potentially 2 shots that I've got. If I get even one of them that's good. Do you know, I'm in a field literally photographing muck, and some of it with like hardened manure on it, and I'm trying to shoot abstract. So if I get a shot from that, I will be extremely happy.